Now, when investors come on, they always want a board seat. So
Yes.
it's like you're a young company, you're scaling, you bring in some capital, and they say, we want a board seat, maybe two. And you as a founder just go, okay, cool. But you look at that makeup, say, wait a sec, did I just give up control of the company? One of the things that always comes up is, why are board meetings and board members so contentious? It doesn't have to be that way. We're going to talk today about some things that you might want to consider when you have your board in place, how to actually turn it into an asset. And one of the things I think I want to start with is over communication. I've been on a number of boards. Jennifer's been on a number of boards. And one of the things that we see a lack of is clear and concise and consistent communication. What does that mean? Really, if you have a board of directors, and let's just say it's you've already got an investor, maybe you have an independent, you've got 3 people on your board. What are you going to look to them for? To me, the real key thing that you have is someone who can be an advocate for your business to both find customers and find employees. I think anything beyond that is a little bit of a reach. Now, when I say over-communicate, though, you need to tell these people, here's who we are, here's what we do, here's where we're going, and here's how we're going to get there. And then as a board, if you think of their name, it's board of directors, they should be giving you the guidance on that plan and then helping you fill in the gaps on the customers or the employees that you might need to scale. And so starting off with your board, number one, set clear expectations for how you're going to communicate. And I think one thing that you probably have seen, Jennifer, is you're on a public board, and it's a little bit different than a private board because you've got some specific guidelines to follow. But if there aren't clear guidelines on how the CEO and the team are going to communicate, how often, what they're going to tell you, does it fall apart?
I guess it could.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've been on this public company board for about 7 years now,
Mm-hmm.
and we are very conscious of making sure that we are the CEO's partner, all while being the voice of the shareholder.
Mm-hmm.
Those are kind of our 2 roles.
Mm-hmm.
So we have financial oversight. We are the C-level partner in crime, if you will, regarding strategic planning. But we also have to look at, we've had a couple years where the business has not performed well. And our approach is to be very compassionate, understanding, amp up the communication, and really work with the C-levels to recover the business. And then there's been other years where it's just stellar and we're, the C-level cheerleader, the biggest cheerleader. But our public company board, I think part of what makes our board really good, which I think our board is quite excellent at this point, is we talk a lot. I just talked to the chairman yesterday. I talked to him last week. We have a lot of communication across the board.
So it's not just, hey, we're coming to a board meeting. That's the only time we talk.
No, and I think that's a risk because we do meet 4 times a year. I think we have virtual meetings 5 times a year, but we talk a lot in between. We don't wait for the next board meeting to talk about something. If there's something on somebody's mind, they're encouraged to reach out via email, phone call the chairman, phone call anyone else. We have a lot of open communication, a lot of trust. We've also been on the board. I'm actually probably the least tenured at 7 years. There's a lot of people that have been on the board 10 plus years. And I think there's something to say about that is, you get board is just like any other team, and also any other team that has to work with another team, is it takes time to build trust and accountability and communication patterns.
There's some that say, okay, if you're on there beyond 5 years, you lose your effectiveness too.
There is some that say that. I think we've gained effectiveness because we understand each other. It's kind of like any relationship.
Right. There's a rhythm to it. And now when investors come on, they always want a board seat. So it's like you're a young company, you're scaling, you bring in some capital, and they say, we want a board seat, maybe 2. And you as a founder just go, okay, cool. So But you look at that makeup, say, wait a sec, did I just give up control of the company? I mean, so be very careful there. But setting the expectations on communication is really important, what I have found.
Yes.
And to say, I'm the founder, this is my company, and here are the 3 key things that make this business tick. And those are the 3 things that you, the founder, measure all the time. It could be sales, it could be conversion rates, it could be inventory, it could be cash, it could be what have you. And then set those expectations, say, hey, this is what I'm going to communicate to you on, and then I'm going to have an ask. I need help with, and then fill in the blank.
I think there's been 3 things that have made our board pretty successful.
Mm-hmm.
Number 1 is we've drawn up a skills matrix across our board members.
Mm-hmm.
What can board members bring to the table and how can we better leverage this? Number 2 is we have really identified at a level of detail what type of culture we want across the board and the C-level group.
Mm-hmm.
And number 3 is we require attendance.
Yeah.
So we don't say, hey, this is optional. You must be in person 4 times a year and you must be on the virtual. So work your vacations, your speaking events, your this, your that around that. So I think that has set the right level of accountability, but the right level of culture and engagement. And that's, if I had to recommend to any, CEO, like what should you expect in your board? Those are at least the first 3 things I'd start with.
I think where a lot of where it becomes contentious, it doesn't need to be, is that there aren't any expectations around what I expect as the founder from the board. And therefore, these typical investors and or independent board members set those expectations on you.
Mm-hmm.
And then it becomes like birds on a wire. So they come to a board meeting unprepared. They haven't really read any of the materials. They're not even sure what's going on in the business. And then it's like, Jennifer, how come, margins are down 3%? And you're like, did you read the deck? I don't understand. What happened here? It comes back to communication. So if you're communicating monthly with them, getting in that habit of having your own MD&A, meaning management's discussion and analysis in your own voice, and then just share that and just say, hey, board, here's what happened this month. Remember budget that we set? Everyone, budget? Yes. Okay. Actual was this. Here's where we missed. Here's where we're great. But here's some things I need help with. The board members that chip in and help with that ask are so valuable.
That's you brought up a good point at the beginning there and then right there. And I want to talk about both of those.
Mm-hmm.
One is like our board books are huge and you are expected to read them. Yeah. And one of the things we've talked to the C-level group on is we don't want you going slide by slide by slide when you come in. Yes. We will own reviewing the data.
Right.
And then we want to have conversations on the whys and the insights. So that's critical number 1. And I get people who ask me all the time, by the way, what does it take to be on the board? And it takes time.
Does take
takes time. And so, and the other thing is that you so I was told this at the beginning, and I'll never forget this, is in board meetings, yes, discussion is very important. But where the most discussion happens and the most sort of get your hands dirty work happens is in the committee meetings.
That's true.
And so, I don't know, and you know better how some of these other boards operate. Obviously, all public boards have also committees. Committees is where the hard work gets done, and where the real application of our skills happens. So I don't know, how would you describe that in other types of boards, like private company boards?
Right. It's more of it's the preparation way in advance of an actual board meeting. So the board meeting itself becomes a problem-solving session. And what we try and do both on the venture side and at Dundee Growth Partners is to say, let's prepare you for that. Let's act like you are already a 5-year-old company, 10-year-old company, $20, $100 million business, okay? What has to be in place for you to act like that? And that means going back to saying, okay, hey, board members, the board meeting is in 10 days. Here's the deck. Here's what's in the deck. when you come to the meeting, you've read it, you've prepared. If you have questions between today and that meeting, get them to me now.
Mm-hmm.
We don't do it in the board meeting. What we're going to do in the board meeting is solve this one problem. And
I love that.
And I need you to come prepared to help me solve that problem. One time there was an inventory problem. One time it was like, we are burning cash. I need to figure out how to slow the burn, and I need your advice. We want to acquire a business. There's been an inbound offer to invest in our business. I mean, that's the one thing. So send me your questions. I'll then package all of that up and we'll talk about it.
I love that.
Yeah.
In regards, okay, so you talk about regards to specific problems like inventory problem or whatever, sales problem. I think that brings up a reason why we do the skills matrix. So one of the things that the previous CEO had told me was, first of all, you know, I'm on the board of a public company. It's a bank in essence, other entities, but it's a bank. And so everyone needs to have very good financial oversight and very good financial acumen. Obviously, we need to all have C-level experience. But then what they were assessing was what kind of subject matter expertise is required. And the C-level group figured that out and brought that back up to the board and said, we'd like the board to consider having subject matter expertise in cybersecurity, in human resources, whatever it is, right? And I thought that was very valuable for the C-level group to take that control and take that seriousness of what they need in a board and push that back upwards.
Yeah, that's great.
Have you seen that same type of thing before?
Yeah, particularly if there's a great relationship between the board and the C team, because it's then becomes one of those give and take. And they listen, they're like, oh, I hadn't even thought of that. You know what? We do need cybersecurity. You know, in fact, what we're going to do is maybe bring in someone as an ad hoc board member to just do a once over. Something like that, versus it being, well, why didn't you think of this before? You know, that's not helpful to anyone. You know, what it needs to be is, I'm going to help guide you. This is your company.
Yeah, I love that.
I'm just here to do that. But back to also the communication and setting those expectations, you then can say, you guys, it's June 30th. We're 6 months in. We're going to miss this year. And being so transparent with the negative news and quickly is extremely healthy. We've invested in 50 companies, and I can tell you the rhythm that starts to happen. It's like we make the investment, and 8 days in or 8 days after the close of a month, you get the report. And you say, here's how we did. Here's where we're going. Here's some challenges. All of a sudden, it becomes 10 days, and then it's 12, and then it's like no report at all. Like, okay, we got problems.
Yeah, sense of urgency is
yeah. So just
really crucial.
Own the negative, ask for help.
Yeah, absolutely. Rhythms.
Yeah.
What do you suggest? So public company board, then our deeper rhythm of these 4 in person a month or 4 in person a year, is, November, we always do strategic planning.
Yeah.
May, we always have our annual shareholder meeting. The other 2 are to report and focus in on results and functional types of performance things like HR, tech, or whatever. What do you see, and particularly in private company boards or any of the boards you're on?
I think it's important to have that 4 times a year, 2 for sure in person. And then monthly, at least Zoom calls. Absolutely. Because with an early stage company, you're going to know on the rhythm if things are working or not. And you can then just say, we're done. It doesn't work. But what we might have is a situation where, wait a sec, this is starting to work really well. Have we thought of, if we bring in more capital, should we put the pedal down and really just go for this? That's a board that says, guys, how do we add a 0 to this? How do we add 2 zeros to this? Let's be thinking that way. Come to us with what you need to make that happen. And those get uncovered in those meetings. They should. The thing that I write this series on LinkedIn, what they don't tell you in the boardroom, invariably you have this board meeting and then the CEO follows you out and kind of goes, hey, you got a few minutes? I've got 11 questions I want to ask you. And you're like, we were just here. Why can't we do it in the meeting? Well, I didn't think they would like it and he'll be mad and she doesn't understand.
We've actually talked about that because as a public company board, we meet just ourselves.
Yeah.
Then we meet with our board of directors plus the CEO, and then we bring all the other executives in.
Yeah.
And it's often that we get to the board director only meeting and something wasn't said that should have really been said. Transparency should have really been said with the CEOs. Yeah. Maybe one last thing I want to talk about, and obviously this is going to be really important to me, is women on boards.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. I am the only female on the public company board I serve on right now. I know that we've had another female before. We're looking for another female now, but that still only puts it would put 2 of 11 on our board. And it can be kind of hard at times, although I think there's some pretty interesting women's groups now that will help feed women into boards. Yeah. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's finding the most capable people first. And to me, 40% of our investments are in women-owned companies. And so it's like, is it because they're women? I don't know. It's because they're just the most capable.
Right.
And they're great at what they do. And so I think that's the key. And to me, what I have found is not many women are as, how do I put it, assertive as you. You know, they have excellent advice, amazing insight, but they just don't say, hey, this is kind of what we should do. Right? It's
100% right.
Yeah.
So when our board talks about we need the one with the most or the best skill set, I said, yeah, that's true. But I'm going to put money on it because I know women, they're not going to be applying for this board director. We're going to have to go find them.
And it's just through knowledge and experience. I just think, they need to be given more shots at it.
Yeah.
Because it's just one of those things where you want a broad base of opinions and experience. And the more of that you have, I mean, the better. And so I always try and, I'll at a mixed board meeting, I'll say, so Jennifer, what are your thoughts? Because you kind of notice there's always the filibuster person in a board meeting, right?
Yep.
And you're kind of like, okay, Jennifer, what are your thoughts?
Yeah.
And 100% of the time it's insightful and clear, well thought out. I just think women get stuff done without the dynamics, right? Just like the posturing and the this and the that. So I encourage people to, first, it's the most capable, can they read a P&L and a balance sheet and do they understand cash flow analysis? And okay, got it. Now let's pick their brain. And the other thing I try and do is have individual meetings with the board members in addition to just one-on-ones with the CEOs, all the companies we work with. How many times have we run into it where we say, hey, how'd the board meeting go? Everything okay? Yeah, everything's fine. Man, I'm just so lonely.
Building relationships with your fellow board members is so undervalued. I have given myself up to football bets that I lose pretty much every year. I love my Nebraska Cornhuskers, but let's be honest,
we're back.
They're just okay. Yeah, we're back. We think we're back. But yeah, so if you are interested in being a board member, we're both board members. We'd be happy to talk to you about it and talk to you about that path to being a board member. Especially women out there, we'd love to talk to you as well.
And then assembling your board. When you're like just you, the founder, and you're thinking, I need a board or I'm bringing on capital,
That's true.
There are certain things that you should really think about before. I just talked to a founder yesterday about this.
Yep.
And she said, I'm not quite sure how to manage this board, but gee, they want a seat. So there you go. and saying, well, is that the best thing for you? Is this how? Let's set the expectations, the communication, the rhythm, the reporting, and on and on and on.
All right, so we just want to give you a quick little flavor of what it takes to be on a board or what it takes to be a founder who has a board and use them effectively. And if you have any thoughts, questions, or comments, you know how to reach us. Thank you.